This is a make or break week for the stock market. So far, Q1 earnings have been decent. Overall, banks have reported good earnings, and investors really were focused on the banks because of the mini bank crisis in March. According to Refinitiv, so far, 76% of the companies reporting in the S&P 500 have beaten their earnings expectations. Of course, it's easy to beat expectations when the bar is set low. Also, according to Refinitiv, companies in the S&P 500 have shown a decline in earnings of 4.7% compared to a year ago. This was largely expected as we are still comparing with COVID pandemic numbers. This is a very busy week for major companies reporting earnings, including Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, and many others. Here's the rub. When the S&P 500 has been stumbling on good earnings news, that's not a good indication. When you have good news, the market's supposed to move higher, and it really hasn't. When it doesn't move higher, it's often an indication of a lack of commitment from investors, and there could be trouble ahead. On a seasonal basis, the first half of April tends to be the strong part of the month. The second half of April tends to be flat. In the first half of April, the S&P 500 was positive, but not by much. If the S&P 500 doesn't start to pick up here a little bit, we could see the stock market start to roll over, and it could start doing that before it hits 4,200 or even the February high. This is a make or break week for the stock market. If once again we see companies report decent earnings and we don't see the S&P 500 moving higher on these earnings, then we could see the stock market start to stumble here and enter a corrective phase. In fact, we could be entering into the sell in May phase early this year in April. Let's see how the stock market responds this week to earnings, and let's hope for some upside action for the S&P 500.